What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, what's going on in the United States, Washington, D.C., money, investing, and the next stimulus package that has been announced at $3.5 trillion. And the U.S. House of Representatives is now putting the bill together and moving forward into the voting process. They are now in the voting process of the subcommittees, where the subcommittees put portions of the bill together, vote on it on a subcommittee process where each kind of little group, different groups of the House of Representatives vote on different portions of the bill. Then they will take different portions of the bill, write the bill, and then combine them and put them together as one bill in the House of Representatives. We're going to be talking about that in this video, as well as what is going on in our country. Also in this video, we will have Senator Bernie Sanders giving us an update on the stimulus package. Lots of good information in this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here on our channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will keep you up to date with everything going on in our country. If you find these videos helpful, don't forget to hit the like button for us, and let's jump right in. A rare copy of the U.S. Constitution is set for auction, and you're not going to believe how much it's sold for before and how much it's going to sell for now. Check this out. It would have belonged to either a member of the Continental Congress or to one of the delegates of the Continental Convention, a Sotheby's specialist said. Quote, "This is the final text. The debate on what the Constitution would say was over with this document. The debate about whether the Constitution was going to be adopted was just the beginning," said Shelby Kiefer, an international senior specialist on Sotheby's books. This unique document, which is from the collection of Dorothy Tapper, will be accompanied by nearly 80 other Constitution-related documents. It is currently on display for public viewing at Sotheby's York Avenue Galleries in New York. They told the Associated Press that they've dealt with this particular document before, when in 1988 it sold for only $165,000, noting it's just as exciting, if not a little bit more exciting, the second time around. So in 1988, it sold for $165,000. But guess how much it's expected to sell for this time? This rare copy of the U.S. Constitution is slated to go up for auction later this year, they announced on Friday. This document, one of just 11 remaining copies first printed for the delegates of the Continental Congress, will go up for auction on November 11th. Estimates value the rare piece of American history between $15 and $20 million. Not a bad investment, right? Pay $165,000. Now it's worth between $50 and $20 million. Wow. Imagine the capital gains taxes on that. Ooh. Hey, but I mean, that's quite a return. Security forces in Washington, D.C. are under pressure to prevent a repeat of what happened in the Capitol on January 6th. 100 National Guard have been sent to Washington, D.C. to help Capitol Police for a new Saturday rally that is set to happen tomorrow. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin on Friday approved 100 National Guard troops to aid Capitol Police for Saturday's Washington, D.C. rally in defense of those arrested in wake of the January 6th riot. The guardsmen who will come from the D.C. National Guard will, quote, will be stationed at the D.C. Armory as a physical security task force to augment law enforcement for the September 18th demonstration on Capitol Hill, end quote. Pentagon spokesman Army Lieutenant Colonel Chris Mitchell said in a statement. The troops join a number of local law enforcement agencies supporting the Capitol Police in preparation for the, quote, Justice for J6 rally, where demonstrators will be backing people who invaded the Capitol in a failed attempt to overturn President Biden's election victory. Officers for the Metro Police Department will have an increased presence around the city, with numerous street closures set to go into effect. a move intended to prevent similar events from occurring. And also a 7-foot fence that was erected around the Capitol grounds that day after January 6th was reinstalled on Wednesday night in preparation for this weekend's events. Let's hope that nothing serious happens tomorrow. I will keep you posted on the events that will be happening. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer says that this upcoming week, the U.S. House of Representatives will vote to avoid a debt limit default and a government shutdown this week, as the government will shut down at the end of this month, at the end of September. And Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says that the U.S. default could come in October if the House and the Senate do not raise the U.S. national debt limit, and that is quickly approaching. And the problem is over 100 Republican representatives from the House and 46 Republican representatives from the Senate have vowed not to raise the debt limit ceiling, even though they did 3 times during former President Donald Trump's presidency, and they have to, or the government will default. Republicans are saying they're not going to raise the debt limit, even though they have to, the government will default. Apparently, they're going to probably try to vote on this next week and force a vote, and we're going to see what happens. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, a Democrat from Maryland, said on Friday that the lower chamber will be taking action to suspend the debt limit next week amid a looming debt deadline. In a letter to lawmakers on Friday, Hoyer said the House will vote on a debt limit and on a continuing resolution to fund the government. He did not say whether the two issues would be joined as one bill. The Treasury Department is now using what is known as extraordinary measures to prevent the U.S. government from defaulting on its debt. It said it will no longer be able to take such steps as some point in October, creating a deadline for Congress. The government must have a new funding bill by the end of the month or it will shut down. Now, note that these are actually two different issues. The government shutdown will happen at the end of September or October 1st. The government shutdown is the end of the month. We've seen government shutdowns in the past. The debt limit ceiling was supposed to be raised by August 1st. They didn't even go to a vote because the Republicans and Mitch McConnell said that pretty much almost all the Republicans were not even going to vote for it. So the Democrats didn't even hold a vote for it, as they have been having some negotiations between the Republicans. As of right now, the Republicans saying they're not going to vote yes on it, but they are going to have a vote on it to even see if it's going to pass. Republicans are saying that they want Democrats to pass it on their own in the stimulus package as part of a political posturing, because the Democrats could raise the debt limit in the $3.5 trillion stimulus package if the Democrats can pass it, which they're having a hard time right now, even getting all the Democrats on board. Remember that they need all 50 Democratic senators from the Senate. Remember Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, right? Their theme song, dun, dun, dun. As well as 99% of the Democrats to all agree on this $3.5 trillion package, which the House of Representatives is moving forward on at $3.5 trillion. They're putting the bill together and actually voting on it on the subcommittee level, which they put the pieces together, and then all the pieces go together, and then they have one major bill, and then they'll be voting on it in the House as one complete bill. So we're actually getting down to the final stages here for the $3.5 trillion package, the stimulus package. But we also have the government shutdown, which needs to happen here within the next 13 days. They have to pass a bill for that, or else the government will shut down on October 1st. And then we also have to raise the debt limit, or else Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says that the government will run out of money and will default. Remember, a government shutdown is different than the government defaulting, which means they will literally default and kind of go bankrupt on their debt obligations, which would be a first. That is much, much more severe and worst case scenario, defaulting to all of their creditors, not all of their creditors, but whoever would be first in line. That is much, much more worst case scenario than a temporary government shutdown. To see the U.S. government's AAA credit rating plummet quickly, and the stock market would probably go with it. Pensions, 401ks, the economy would be a very, very bad thing. We do not want to see that happen, even if it's a temporary situation. Even if it's just a political posturing between Republicans and Democrats, we do not want to see that happen. We do not want to show the world that we could theoretically even show the world that we could even have the hint of a default. That is not something we want to show the world that we could possibly do. That we could show our creditors that we could possibly, even the possibility of defaulting on our credit. That would be absolutely terrible. So let's hope. I mean, we're honestly getting really close to that. So even to say that we're getting close to that is not something you would want to show your creditors. Yeah. So I'm speechless, honestly speechless to say that we're getting that close. As Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, says, we're already into extraordinary measures. We should have had this passed by August 1st. And they didn't even go to a vote because the Republicans were saying that they're not going to vote for it. And I mean, here's why. 100 House Republicans have signed a letter promising not to vote to raise the debt ceiling. So, I mean, when you have Republicans signing a letter promising not to vote to raise the debt ceiling, this is from Fox News. I mean, that's why they didn't vote on it immediately, because they knew that there was going to have to be some negotiations. So, yeah, it's a very tense political situation. Now, remember, they raised the debt ceiling 3 times during former President Donald Trump's situation. They have to raise the debt ceiling every 1 to 2 years. It's just something that has to be done. Just like the government's funding, you have to fund the government every year. It's just something that has to literally be done, or else the government defaults. Here is Senator Bernie Sanders on the $3.5 trillion stimulus package and his thoughts on this next package. Let me know your thoughts. Here it is. Remember that Bernie Sanders is the Senate Budget Chairman, the person in charge of the reconciliation process, which is how they're going to pass this package. He's also considered the person in charge of the stimulus package itself.
I'm loath to get back into the price conversation, but I do want to make this point, and I want to play you what the president said, and I think it's clarifying to follow up on that. So I want to play what President Biden said today, and then ask you a clarifying question. Take a listen for a second.
My Republican friends are attacking my plan, saying it's big spending. Let me remind you, these are the same folks who just 4 years ago passed the Trump tax cut, totaling almost $2 trillion in tax cuts. A giant giveaway to the largest corporations in the top 1%. And listen to this. Almost none of that $2 trillion tax cut was paid for. It just ballooned the federal deficit.
Okay, so here's part of the thing that has been driving me nuts about the discourse on this bill. The cost is just one part of the ledger of the bill, right? I'm not crazy here. There's a cost part, and then there's a revenue raisers part. And people only talk about the cost part. Like, there are, right, that you couldn't pass it through reconciliation if it was just going to charge it to the deficit, right? I mean, have I lost the plot here?
Well, you could. Actually, you could, but we're not going to do that. I mean, what we intend, look, the bill is still being worked on. The bill is still being worked on.
Maybe you get rid of all these tax raises that the oligarchs don't like and pass this thing and charge it and come back the next day.
All right. But what we want to do is, in fact, pay for it. If I had my druthers, I would pay for every nickel of it by demanding, as the president just said, that we end the absurdity of large corporations making billions and in a given year paying nothing in federal income taxes. Some of the wealthiest people in this country, Elon Musk, I think, Jeff Bezos, in a given year, do not pay a nickel in federal income tax. Anyone think that that is vaguely sane? It is not. So what we can do in one way or another, in a variety of ways, raise the revenue that we need to pay for this. And by the way, Chris, your point about, taking a look at what we are trying to do. The evidence is overwhelming that when you invest in childcare, when you invest in education, when you invest in children, you get that investment back many times over. And in terms of climate, what are we supposed to say? How do you deal with this issue? How much is too much when you're talking about saving the planet? How much? And if the planet goes down in 50 years, well, gee whiz, how much should we have spent or not spent? It's pretty crazy stuff. And what even every economist understands, economic output is going to decline precipitously because of climate, not to mention the huge amounts of money we spend trying to repair the damages of storms and floods. So the president, in my view, again, I said this before, deserves credit for, with no margin in the Senate, 50-50, 3-vote margin in the House. He understands, I understand, I think the majority of the American people understand, because what we are doing is enormously popular. The American Rescue Plan was popular. This is popular. The American people want us to address the crises facing working people and have the guts, finally, to stand up to the big money interests who own the United States Congress.
You named the most difficult part of this, which is that you need a unanimous vote. And unanimity is tough. You come out of some universe of old left, unanimous consensus groups, in a basement trying to get 12 people to agree on something. It's not easy.
It is very difficult. And I hope people appreciate that. I mean, if we had 60 or 70 votes, it would make life a lot easier. We got 0 votes. We got 50 votes in the Senate, and Nancy Pelosi has 3-vote margin in the House. So this is really, really tough. And there's going to be a lot of debate and discussion going on. Trust me. But at the end of the day, I think we're going to do what the American people want and pass the most consequential piece of legislation in a very long time.
Yeah, so there's Senator Bernie Sanders. He's the Senate budget chairman. He's the person in charge of the reconciliation process. He's also the person mainly considered in charge of this $3.5 trillion package. He's the one in charge of the stimulus package. So, but the problem is that we have people like Senator Joe Manchin, one particular senator, who knows how important his vote is. He wants to spend $1.5 trillion. And in some ways, we've actually had another announcer where he gave an interview who said, the most powerful man in the Senate, Senator Joe Manchin. And in some ways, Joe Manchin knows it. And I think that announcer said the most powerful man in the United States, Joe Manchin. And in some ways, I think Joe Manchin knows it. Joe Manchin knows that his vote is, in some ways, the most powerful vote. Because if he votes no, or if he just says he's going to vote no, unless this condition's met, this condition's met, and this condition's met, they can't pass this package. They need every single Democrat from the Senate to vote yes, because they're not going to get a single Republican vote. Not a single Republican voted yes on the third stimulus check package for that $1,400 stimulus checks, and the $3,000 to $3,600 child tax credits, the $40+ billion in rent assistance, that temporary SNAP assistance, that pandemic EBT SNAP assistance, everything that was from the third stimulus check package, not a single Republican voted for, and not a single Republican is going to vote for this next stimulus package. We're expecting to have Medicare 2.0 for seniors, hearing, dental, vision, hearing aids coverage, dental coverage, as well as lower the Medicare eligibility age to age 60. They're working on lowering prescription drug prices, which they're having a lot of difficulty getting the Democrats to agree with right now. That will have significant savings. There's a lot of different stimulus type of programs that aren't considered a stimulus check that would save a lot of people money, like a prescription drug pricing program. So if you pay for prescription drug pricing, if you pay for prescription drugs, a lot of people have medication. Some people don't. Some people have a lot. Some people have a little. This type of thing could save you money. But they're having a lot of difficulty with the wording and the language on that right now. And as Bernie Sanders said, getting 220 people from the House to agree on every little item in the bill right now is being very, very difficult. Remember, this bill is probably going to be like 5,000 pages or so. And at the end of the day, there's probably going to be multiple different stimulus type items that could save you money or put money in your pocket: rental assistance, mortgage assistance, Medicare 2.0, maybe a fourth stimulus check added in there, the monthly checks for children, the child tax credits, which are monthly checks of $250 to $300. Remember, those end at the end of this year. They want to extend that in this next package. Who knows what's going to be in this package when all is said and done? Remember that the second stimulus check package, or second stimulus check, was actually added in there at the very last moment after they wrote the bill. And in the third stimulus check package, they actually added in there after they wrote the bill as well, that $10,200 unemployment tax break, which actually provided a check of anywhere from several $100s to several $1,000s for unemployed Americans in the third stimulus check package. So even at the very last moment, they can add things in at the very last moment. So I will keep you up to date with everything as they're trying to pass this bill, yet getting 220 people from the House and 50 people from the Senate to agree is going to be a tall task. So I will keep you up to date with everything. Make sure to subscribe down below. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Subscribing is literally completely free to do so. All you do is click subscribe down below, and that's it. You're subscribed. And it just makes it more likely for you to see our videos, for the algorithm to show you the videos. Best thing to do is subscribe and then click the bell icon that appears next to the subscribe button and click all notifications. That'll give you a little reminder notification when we go live at those times so you don't miss out on any new videos. You can click here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. This bottom video is how there's a new petition to add $1,400 stimulus checks into the next package. And this is our new family channel with my son Julian called Julian's Adventures. We just released a new video. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.